welcome to Bahrain for round 2 of the GP4 Offline season. We're here in Sakhir at the Bahrain International Circuit, the 13th time the Bahrain Grand Prix has been hosted here. The first of two races to take place in the Middle East and take place tonight. The 12th and will also be racing on the current layout of Bahrain, with the 2010 race taking place on the unfavourable endurance layout. No surprise, being in a desert, the track was built on an old camel farm. So, it was one of the most popular circuits in the AC Canyon, personally one of the best. 57 laps, circuit length 5.41 kilometers, 15 corners, although the last one is should only be 14, but we'll gloss over that. Lap record set by Franco Gamba last season of 1:28.732, but unfortunately it was his fellow Franco Gamba, who won the first race of the season in Australia. Of course, Franco lovers who won here last season in 2018 will be hoping he can take a step up and win once again here in Bahrain. Of course, other people include Joseph Willows, Jay McKenzie, and Florian Volker. And the tyres, of course, we'll be using will be the soft tyres for this race, which should make it very interesting indeed. Of course, around Bahrain, not normally any rain, and of course, in practice, no surprise there wasn't any. It was a good start for Ferrari, though. Ferrari won 2, Joseph was ahead of Laura Chung. Then Armand Carr, Gal, Tomaselli, Lopez, Moitin, Catalan, Kupok, and Gamba completing the top 10. But that was not qualifying. This was qualifying, and this is the starting grid for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And Laura Chung, what a performance from her, taking pole position for Ferrari, with Franco Lopez alongside her in second. On row 2, it is 2 Red Bulls of Nicolas Gal and Franco Gamba, respectively. On row 3 is the 2 Brits of Joseph Williams for Ferrari and Armand Carr for Mercedes. So far, unfortunately, Carr not actually having the pace compared to his teammate Franco Lopez so far this season. 7th, Matteo Catalan, a great qualifying from him, with Paolino Tomaselli alongside him in the McLaren. On row 5 of the group, we have Andrea Federi for Alfa Romeo and Kirosima de Rosa, 10th for McLaren. Row 6, George Roque for Racing Point Mercedes, and Jamie Kenzie's ex-teammate alongside him for Renault. On row 7 of the group, we have Chris Chatfield for Haas, another good qualifying by him. Gabriel Gomez, 14th for Alfa Romeo. Row 8 of the grid, Evan Byrne, who had qualified 10th, but has got a 5-place grid penalty from last time out in Australia for the collision with George Roque. Roland Moitin alongside him in 16th. On row 9 of the grid, we have Jared Fosbury for Haas and David Kupok. 18th for Rosso, couldn't of course keep up his form in qualifying from Australia. Liam Kapala, 19th for Williams, and Felix Sontag, 20th for All Williams. Row 10 of the grid, and on row 11 of the grid, no surprise, Maxime Titkov and Rosetta Martinez for Manor. So that was the grid, and the weather for this race, to the surprise of absolutely everybody, it's going to be a dry race. 0% chance of rain, and sky being as clear as the night sky. Stars will be out. But anyway, 57 laps around Bahrain. And who is going to take victory here in the second race of the season? The 5 lights are now coming on here in Bahrain. The 5 lights are now on, and we're underway. And Lopez has got an unbelievable launch off the line. I'm pretty sure he's already passed Chung, and he is. What a start from Franco Lopez. You can see from the first camera angle that he just absolutely shot off the line like a bullet. And Chung just had absolutely no chance. And although Chung has got a heavy fuel, so she might struggle. But De Rossa's up to 5th. What a start from him. How's he managed to do that? Roque was getting overtaken by McKenzie for 11th position. So far, all the drivers have got through cleanly, but Chung might struggle. She's on heavy fuel compared to everyone else, and compared to Gal, Gamba. De Rossa was on a massive fuel load actually in 5th. Meanwhile, McKenzie and Tomaselli battling for 10th position. Tomaselli holding the line, but will McKenzie have the run coming through the S's? And the answer is no. I think Tomaselli's just about got it, and the answer is yes. So he holds off from McKenzie. But so what has happened? So let's have a look on board first of all with De Rossa. So he was down in 10th position. Didn't make a particularly great start actually. Federi got off the line much better than he did. And then De Rossa managed to sneak past his teammate Tomaselli, Federi, then Catalan, and then I think he just launches up the inside of Carr. Does an almighty dive bomb into the first corner. Somehow doesn't make any contact with Joseph Willows, but you can see on board with Lopez, he absolutely launches off the line with like a rocket ship and take the lead even before the first corner. So that was a fantastic start. Meanwhile, we're looking on board with Maxime Titkov in the Manor, who... oh no, and he's been hit from behind, and I would think it was Jared Fosbury in the Haas. And so unfortunately for Fosbury, it's not been a great start to the season for him so far. And was it him that caused this? And yep, he just absolutely launches into the back of Titkov, who then goes into, I think it was the Williams of Felix Sontag. And so that will be under investigation. But Jared Fosbury, not the start of the season that he would have wanted, and unfortunately his race is pretty much over before it's even really started. But anyway, this is the battle for P2. This is Laura Chung under pressure from Miklos Gal in the Red Bull as they head towards the first corner. In the slipstream is the Hungarian as they head towards the first corner. Lopez already taking the fastest lap. Here we go, looking at Gal on the inside of Chung, but Chung is really defending Gamba behind as well, and he managed to defend, does Chung. She defends from one of the Red Bulls, and as we look at the board of Rosetta Martinez, who was in a battle actually with David Kupok going into the final corner. There was contact, and Kupok does a half spin, and unfortunately still wasn't able to get past Martinez there, so they've fallen a lot further back. Meanwhile, we're looking on board with Mackenzie, who's battling with Tomaselli. Tomaselli runs wide, and Mackenzie makes it through, and I think does Roke pass on the inside as well? Yes, he does, and I think the car behind Roke, I believe, is that another Renault? I think it might be Evan Byrne, who snuck through as well. As we're looking at Gomez, who's snuck up the inside of Roke into the first corner and makes the mistake there. Now, nearly contact between Roke and Byrne again there. Meanwhile, Byrne will be under pressure from Tomaselli. We'll try and make a move back on the inside of him. Byrne moves over to the right. He's having none of it. Will Tomaselli still launch it down the inside? The answer is yes, he does, but is not quite able to make the mistake. He's got Roland Motion in the other racing point behind him. As we look at Fosbury and Titkov in the pits. Meanwhile, of course, the battle's still going on for second. Lopez, the gap out front is about I think it was 2.5 seconds it was. So at the moment it's looking pretty good, but so far Carr down in 7th position as well. He hadn't made a good start either. Meanwhile, Gal once again right behind Laura Chung. Can he make a move coming towards the end of the support pit straight? And he tries, but Chung holds on, and I wonder how long she's going to hold on for. Kind of feel sorry for her though, because she did such a great job in qualifying, and unfortunately the team has screwed her over with the strategy, or certainly with the heavy fuel, because she's clearly not as quick as the cars behind him, and of course Franco Lopez, who's in front. And so now Gal once again on the inside into the final corner, or I should say the penultimate corner, and unable to make the mistake. Meanwhile, Carr trying to get down the inside of De Rosa into the final corner, and he is unable to do it, I think, and he might even be under pressure from Videri behind him. Meanwhile, Gal in the slipstream of Chung in front of her. Meanwhile, Lopez is the fastest lap, and Gal's going to try and make a move to the inside. Will he try and go for it? Nope, Chung defends. So Gal has to wait once again. Meanwhile, Videri is passing Carr into turn 1. Andrea Videri going to pass Amar Carr in the Mercedes. This is almost like Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas type stuff here. And meanwhile, Matteo Catalan might even make a move as well. He was right behind in the slipstream. And once again, Chung holding on, but surely this has got to be the one for Miklos Gal. He's now on the inside of the Ferrari, heading down towards turn 1, coming across the start-finish line. And can Gal make the mistake into the first corner? The answer is, I think he's through, is he? Yes. And yes, he's through. Finally makes it up into second place. And the question is, can he go after the Mercedes of Franco Lopez in front of him? Now Gamba tries to move around the final corner, but unable to make the mistake. And now, of course, Joseph Willows is coming as well. So Gamba needs to look out, because Willows could easily try and make a move on Chung, although Gamba is already alongside Chung, heading towards the first corner. This could be a very easy move. Meanwhile, Videri is on the inside of De Rosa in the distance, and Gamba is now through up to P3. And the question is, did Videri make it? And I think he did. Yes, Videri is up into 6th position. Meanwhile, Willows might try and make a move on his teammate Chung, although Chung is going to move to the right. Willows might still even go for it. So, no, there's contact between the two, and 2 hits there. But Willows might be through anyways. They come through the S's. It's side by side between the 2 Ferraris. Do not hit each other. And Chung managed to hold on to the position. She has the run round the corner there and keeps it. But surely it's just not going to be able to last for that long. Chung really struggling on this heavy fuel load, although it's not, unfortunately, much of a surprise. And meanwhile, Videri, having just overtaken De Rosa, is already caught up to the back of these two. It shows how much they're holding each other up. So we look at it again. Of course, Willows tried to make it on the inside. There was the first touch, and there was the second one there. A little bit of a lock-up from Willows. And I thought Willows had the move made, but seemingly he didn't. So Chung managed to keep the position, which he did. But of course, Videri is also behind, so they really need to keep a lookout for him, because Videri seems to be having a good race so far. And actually, Willows locking up there, severely going to the corner. Meanwhile, here we go once again. Willows trying it on the inside of Chung. It's not going to work, but Videri is right there now. And Videri could even have a run on the straight. Willows is not careful. He's now on the inside, but Videri's also got the slipstream behind. I wonder if he could make a move, maybe on one of the 2 tires. Meanwhile, Carr trying to pass to Ross from the first corner. Willows, I think, has now finally got past Laura Chung. Now he's up into P4, but now Chung is under pressure from Andrea Videri behind him. Meanwhile, Carr is now going to be in the mix as he got past De Rosa. And Chung once again moves over to the right to not allow Videri to make a move on the inside. I mean, we've got a yellow flag, and Rosetta Martinez, I think, is out, and it looks like him and David Kupok have had yet another collision. So And it's at, of course, the final corner where there's always seems to be a collision there. It's one of the accident hotspots here in Bahrain. So this was what happened. So again, you could just see it coming, and yep. I mean, you could just see they're coming a mile off, unfortunately. I'm not sure who they'll really necessarily blame for that, but it's just an accident which always happens at that final corner. Meanwhile, Gao not really gaining on Lopez up front. It's about 4 seconds. Meanwhile, Matteo Catalan now also going past De Rossa. Of course, De Rossa, despite his good start, has also got heavy fuel, even heavier, I think, than actually what Laura Chung has. So he really is going to struggle. And now, meanwhile, we're looking through the rest of the field, and and Evan Byrne, I think, has lost his wing here. And what has happened to him? He was running in 13th behind George Roke coming in towards turn 4. And oh dear, once again, another collision between Byrne and Roke. And this time it's yet again Byrne's fault. Unfortunately, he just plows into the back of George Roke there. Unfortunately, Roke, an innocent bystander in that, just had no idea that was coming. He was close up behind Gomez, but unfortunately loses his rear wing. He's going to have to pit for a new one, as you can, of course. Gal, I suppose, he's closing a little bit on Lopez. It was 4.2 last time I saw, and now it's down to 4. We'll see maybe as he comes across the line what the gap is now, but as we now swap to Gabriel Gomez, who's now on the inside of De Rossa, who's once again now falling outside his grid spots. Oh, never mind, he will be outside of it now. He's out of this race. Gomez has lost his wing. He'll have to pit, and it's going to be a very interesting pit entry here if Gomez can't get in, which he does, which is lucky because that could have gone horribly wrong. Gomez does make it to the pits there, but you can see once again at the final corner yet another collision, and De Rossa is the latest victim in this. Gomez, of course, does go into the pits and manages to get through as Moitian and Tomaselli were going by. So as you can see, Gomez coming into the pits. So that's not his race over, but of course that will be him changing the new front wing. Meanwhile, Miguel Escal in very early on, and meanwhile Jared Fosbury has received a 25-second time penalty for causing the incident with Sontag and Titkoff. So yeah, it's a real punch in the guts there for Jared Fosbury. But Gal, of course, in very early on, so it's clear he must be doing the 3-stop strategy for Red Bull. I don't imagine anyone else is going to come in on the same lap. They'll probably come in the next couple of laps or so. That was a 6.5-second stop. He'll come out, it looks like, outside the top 10. Meanwhile, Amar Carr still yet to get past, actually. Andrea Federi. Mackenzie now battling with Matteo Catalan. There's Moitin in 9th. Tomaselli 10th. And Gal's going to come out. Looks like he's going to come out ahead of the Williams of Campana. No, he's not. Campana does come out in front, but it's not going to be for long. Gal's about to make the move on the American, coming into the final corner, and does Gal make the move stick, although Campana's not making it easy. Oh no, please don't have any collision. Nope, never mind. Campana goes way wide there, and so Gal now does make the move, and he's now up into P11. He'll go after the McLaren, although actually Campana was pitting this lap, actually, so he was on a low fuel load. So was Moitin, actually. He's in 2. So Gal is now back at the points. Meanwhile, once again, Carr's still unable to get past Federi. He's now got another Italian, Matteo Catalan, trying to get moved through on the inside, and oh, that was so close. Matteo really trying his best to get through there, but of course he's got Mackenzie to worry about behind. But Federi doing a great job in the Alfa Romeo, holding up the Mercedes. So you would never really see this very often. So Carr's, I mean, it's surprising as well because Carr's fuel is fairly light. And I think Federi has actually got, I think maybe a little bit more fuel. I couldn't quite see. I wasn't sure that was his when they briefly swapped there. But anyway, you can see Chung actually, who's keeping the gap to Federi because Federi is holding up these guys behind. If Carr gets through, then of course for Chung, then she will be overtaken in about a lap or so. Meanwhile, Lopez just chilling out front, got a nearly a 10-second gap over Franco Gamba at this moment in time in 2nd position. So. And you see, and I think was that him just coming across the line? I think it may have been. And yes, it was. He's just coming to the line now. Willer's in 3rd. Meanwhile, Carr still not close enough to make a move on Federi coming into the final corner. So will he have enough room? Will he have enough slipstream? And I don't think he did. I think he made a slight error coming into the final corner there. It had a little, I think, twitch I saw. And I wonder if Matteo Catalan might be close enough to make a move. Although they're all kind of evenly spaced out, socially distanced at this moment in time as they come in towards the first corner. Catalan was inching up to take a look at Carr, unable to do it though, and so Carr still not quite close enough to get through. And meanwhile, speaking of getting through, Gal has got past Tomaselli for 9th. He's got a little bit of fresh air before the gaggle of cars in front of him, and there was a car in that gaggle. I think it was Mackenzie who was actually pitting. Was that? Meanwhile, Gamba comes out, and he's going to come out behind the McLaren of Tomaselli, so he's obviously not come out in front of Miguel Gal. So he's now going to have to pass the McLaren. So there's going way out ahead, and Federi, yeah, Federi's got still a fair bit of fuel left, so it's quite surprising that Carr has not been able to make the move stick past him, really. He's got more fuel, so it's really interesting, actually. And Matteo Catalan's got less fuel than both these guys as well. He'll be pitting, well, he'll be pitting about a lap before Amar Carr does, that is for sure. So as we look at them coming on to the support pits, and you see Carl will probably be needing an F1 experience really to try and overtake Federi. He needs to use all of his experience to do so. Meanwhile, Franco Gamba on the back of Paolino Tomaselli, his fellow Italian, about to make a move on the inside. And can he make the move stick? The answer is not quite. I don't think, unless he has to run around the outside. I think he might have the grip, Gamba. So would he make the move stick? No, not quite. As Hodok goes a little bit wide, goes on the marbles, will lose a little bit of time. He'll gain immediately back onto Tomaselli. Look at how much better he goes around that corner than Tomaselli does, and surely this could be a move for Gamba into the final corner. This should be very, very easy indeed. And he's on the inside. Can he make it stick cleanly? And the answer is ooh, close, very close. But Gamba's now on the inside, onto the front straight, and it's going to be side by side between Gamba and Tomaselli heading towards the first corner. But this should be Gamba's position. All ends up as they come across the line, and Gamba's on the inside. This will be the move, and there we go. Bob's your uncle makes it through. Meanwhile, Gal is closing up to this battle for P4. Chung, I said, still holding out simply because Federi doesn't have the pace to close up behind her. So at the moment, Willer's in a very comfortable P2, but of course Lopez has pitted. Chung, how far is she going? I think it's 11 seconds. So meanwhile, this is David Kupok, who is trying to pass Evan Byrne in towards turn 1. And Kupok on the inside, and this is a move for P16. Has Kupok got it? Not quite sure yet. The answer is no, he hasn't. Byrne holds the position there. Meanwhile, Jared Fosbury in the pits, and of course he has that 25-second time penalty, which will not help him whatsoever. I think pretty sure he might actually already be lapped, or he's about to be lapped by Franco Lopez, the leader at this moment in time. Instead, there's Galna, who's right on the back of Matteo Catalan, Carr, and Federi, so he might already make a move on Catalan coming in towards the final corner here, if he's close enough, which I think he might do. Gal, is he going to make a move on the inside of Matteo Catalan, but Catalan himself trying to make a move on the inside. Oh, contact! Catalan has hit and spun. Oh, and Gal is out! And Nicolas Gal is out of this race, and Catalan made contact. And he almost rejoined right in front of the other Red Bull there. That would have been a disaster if he'd taken both out. But he made contact with Carr, spun right in front of Gal. Gal unfortunately got caught up in that. Catalan, I think, actually got away without any damage there. So he's very, very lucky. But for Gal, he is certainly very unlucky. So this again, so Catalan was trying to move on the inside of Carr. He made contact. Then he spun right in front of Gal. And I was Catalan, I think, did actually have a little bit of damage, so he had to pit anyway. So, as there was Gamba just sneaking through there, he was very lucky to get away with that, so he's got through very unscathed. Meanwhile, we're looking at Jay McKenzie, who's on the inside of Chris Chatfield for P9, and now he's through up into ninth position to get 2 points from 1. Of course, it'll be interesting to see who gets the fastest lap in the race. I believe it is still Franco Lopez who has the fastest lap from early on, unless we have seen otherwise. Catalan now comes out, I think it was down in P16 out of the pits. So, feel sorry for Catalan as well. He was having a fairly solid race, but unfortunately, it's all gone downhill. He was trying to pass the Mercedes, and he was unable to do so. Meanwhile, Joseph Willers for Ferrari is about to come in for his first pit stop of the race. And Lopez, who I think has already gone over the line, will be pitting next lap. So, Willers about to come into the pits. He'll jerk off to the right, which he does. Jerks off to the right, and meanwhile, Byrne receives a 15-second time penalty, causing the incident with car 9 George Rogue. So, unfortunately, yet another penalty for Byrne in his battle with Rogue. Unfortunately, it's just not quite going as well. I'll have to think of something different to what he's doing now. Clearly, hitting Rogue is not working for him. But anyway, enough of that. Willow's in the pits, and he will be doing the 2-stop. He's going to be going quite long on this stint. So he's going to come out behind, obviously, Gamba. So, of course, he'll move up position, of course, Willers, because Gal is out of this race, but he's well off Meanwhile, Thomas Lee goes by. But Willers will be in clear air, so that is good news for him. Meanwhile, this is Lopez, who at the moment has got Jared Fosbury all over him, but Fosbury, I think he's trying to unlap himself, having just pitted, but of course Lopez will be pitting this lap, so he doesn't need to do anything stupid, although you see Fosbury right on the back of the Mercedes, but Fosbury obviously does not want to be passing the Mercedes. Just needs to wait a couple more corners and then it'll be free. Although of course Fosbury has got that penalty, which is going to deeply affect him in this race as they head towards the final corner. Fosbury in the slipstream. He might even try and lap himself coming through past Franco Lopez here. Coming into the final corner, and Fosbury, does he make it through? The answer is no, he doesn't, because Lopez will then go off to the right and he'll pit. So now Fosbury is clear and he can go back up to racing speed. So Lopez now comes in. He's had it very easy so far this race, although he had made a fantastic start and has pretty much not looked back from there, and helped by the fact, of course, that Miguel Escal is now out of the race. Franco Gamba, of course, up to second, but he was off Gal anyway. Meanwhile, this is Gamba trying to pass the Mercedes of Armand Carr. This is heading towards the final corner. In the slipstream, will he get through? He's trying desperately to do so. Carr defending once again. And fortunately, it wasn't a reminiscent accident of what happened with the Catalan, although Carr went wide, coming through the final corner. Now Gamba's on the inside, heading towards the first corner. Look at the power that the Mercedes engine has. So Gamba might not actually be able to make the move stick unless he just brakes later than Carr, which he could do actually. It is possible. Will Gamba do it? And the answer is yes, he does. He brakes later, and he makes the move past Carr, who is now finally pitting. Or I say finally pitting, I mean it's only been 19 laps, but it just seems so slow. Carr, unable to get past Videri. Meanwhile, Franco Lopez on the back of Laura Chong, who of course is leading this race. But of course Videri still yet to pit. He'll be pitting pretty soon. Lopez all over the back of the Ferrari of Chong, who of course is struggling on those tyres. She's trying her best. She's leading where she started, of course. But a pit call for Carr. There was another pit call for someone else. I couldn't quite see who that was. But, oh, Jay McKenzie is around. He has just done a little 360 there. And this was him trying to get past Gabriel Gomez in the Alpha. And they made contact, and Jay McKenzie spun. I don't think he lost a position, just lost a lot of time to Gomez. Still won't do his race any favours. Meanwhile, this is Lopez once again trying to get past the Ferrari of Chung as they head towards the start-finish straight. And is he going to make the move before, well, like I said, after the start-finish line? So Chung will lead this lap. So she does, but unfortunately it's not going to last because Lopez is there on the inside, and Franco Lopez now takes the lead back. Andrea Federi, of course, at the moment in third. He'll be very happy with the way things are going at the moment, but of course he needs to pit. Meanwhile, Carr pits this lap as well. This is a battle for 10th. This is between Moitian, Chatfield, and of course Roku's not too far behind either, but Moitian trying to make the move on the inside, but Moitian trying to make a move on the inside of Chatfield. Unable to do it, and lost a lot of momentum, and I think he's going to be close enough to make a move into the first corner. Meanwhile, Franco Gamba now on the back of Andrea Federi in the Alpha, who is not going to be pitting this lap, but I'm sure he'll be pitting next lap. But Gamba needs to get past him very quickly if he wants to keep up with Willows. Meanwhile, Carr comes out down in 12th position, comes out behind the winners of Link Partner. He's got a lot of traffic ahead of him as well, so this isn't going to do his race any good. Meanwhile, Moitian does make it on the inside of Chris Chatfield for 8th position, so he is through. Meanwhile, Roke in 10th, who's actually, surprisingly, he's actually in 10th, considering the fact, of course, he pitted after being hit by Evan Byrne. Meanwhile, this is Franco Gamba now coming up to the back of Laura Chung. It will not be long until he passes her. Of course, Chung is going to be going a long distance in this race, so she's just got to do her own thing, and Gamba's got to do his thing by getting past her, of course, and not losing too much time. So as we look at Gamba coming through the final corner, you can see how much he's gaining onto the back of the Chinese driver. Meanwhile, Federi behind goes into the pits. And whoa! I think that was Roke making a late move there on the inside of Chatfield. That was for P9, I believe. So that was a good move there by Roke. You see it was quite late, and Chatfield got a little bit out of shape, and he's gone a little bit wide. So Campana might have the chance to make a move here for 10th position, and of course Carr has got Catalan behind him as well, so this could get very messy very quickly, but fortunately nothing happens there. But of course now Campana on the back of Chatfield coming onto the start finish straight. Meanwhile, Carr is there as well, trying to make a move, but Campana going to make a move on the inside of Chatfield for 10th position. But Carr's got better things to worry about. He's got Matteo Catalan. He's going to try and make a move on him yet again, coming into the first corner, and Campana is through, and I think Catalan is through as well. The answer is yes. Catalan is through past Armand Carr, and wow, for Armand Carr has been a pretty torturous race for him. Not gone his way at all, and getting passed by the Italian of Catalan is just the tip of the iceberg. So as we look at Catalan now, who's going to be on the back of Chris Chatfield, who I don't believe has pitted yet this race. So as we look at them coming through the S's part of this track under the lights here in Bahrain, but armoured car, you would not expect a Mercedes to be going this slow in 13th place, having just made the stop. And Chatfield goes a little bit wide. Catalan is through, and I think Carr's going to sneak his way through as well, and he does. So Chatfield, who I'm pretty sure has not pitted yet, really struggling for grip in that car. So you can see he comes around the corner and just goes a little bit too wide onto the curb and loses a lot of momentum. That allows Catalan and then Carr to get through. So that's 2 positions again. Meanwhile, Frank Gamma now once again trying to get past Laura Chung, heading towards the first corner. And this will be a battle for position because, of course, Chung has actually got only slightly more fuel than what Frank Gamma does. But Frank Gamma is on fresh tyres, of course. Now coming into the first corner, and Gamba is through. So he's now up into P2. Chung in P3. Still could be on for the chance of a podium, Chung, as long as she doesn't drop too far off with those. Meanwhile, Jay McKenzie passing Tomaselli for 5th place coming in towards turn 1. And that is the move done for where it was actually the 2 poles, of course, against each other. Meanwhile, Videri in 7th. Roke still in 10th, actually, having a still in 9th, I should say, having a pretty encouraging race. Meanwhile, Kupok once again having encounters at the last corner, this time passing Evan Byrne, who's been in the wars today, and Gabriel Gomez, I think, who is trying to pass David Kupok. He got past Byrne, so Gomez might take 2 places in one straight. Gomez on the inside of the German as they head towards the first corner, and I believe he's through on the inside, and yes, so he's now up into 14th, so Byrne lost out badly on that one, but Gomez was the one who gained, so he's up a couple of positions. Meanwhile, we're looking on board with Laura Chung coming through, down in 3rd position. Byrne trying to get back past David Kupok. Go! And there's contact once again. And Byrne's going to try and knock his way through, and he does get through, up back in 15th position there. So Byrne's certainly not afraid to get his elbows out, using every part of his car possible to make the overtake. And I suppose you could say Kupok moved over on him as well there, and so it kind of blocked off the opportunity for Byrne to get through, but he still did anyway. So as we look at Kupok, once again as Byrne goes wide through the final corner, so now yet again as Paulino Tomaselli is going to be pitting for his first stop, as George Roke is actually in the pits for another stop. But Kupok passing Byrne as they're coming towards first corner. The Byrne trying to keep ahead, but Kupok will have the inside line, and this should be the move. And yet gets back past Byrne, and this time I imagine Byrne will try and get back past Kupok as well if they get close enough. But it looked like he dropped a bit off there as Chung getting a little bit out of shape. Willows is getting closer and closer, so I think it'll only be a matter of time, probably the next lap or 2, until another overtake there. Probably team orders from Ferrari, you could say as well. Carr now at the moment up in 9th position, ahead of Matteo Catalan, but he's 3 seconds off Roland Moyton, the Hungarian, in the racing point. So, as looking through the rest of the order at the moment, Thomas said he's pitting this lap for Dairy, Moyton, Carr, Catalan. So here's the 2 Ferraris, of course, right behind each other. I say right behind, but they will be very shortly. With Chung being on the, I think, well, I don't know the heavy fuel load, but certainly the worst tyres for sure. As well as you can see how much he gained through the first corner there. Meanwhile, this is Chatfield, who got a little bit wide there, and that has allowed Gabriel Gomez to be right on his tail. And Gomez will be passing Chatfield, it looks like, coming into the final corner. Or at least he's going to try to, as Chatfield not making it easy for him. And Gomez going to make it through, is he? No contact. Chatfield, I think, has gone off, and yes, he has. So, that's another position up for Gabriel Gomez, and Chatfield loses another position. Meanwhile, Campana at the moment temporarily into the points. Federi up to 6th position. Meanwhile, this is Willows and Chung, of course, right behind each other. This is the battle for 3rd. Frankagam at the moment on his own, really, in 2nd position, although Willows, see how much he can gain on Gamba once he passes Chung. But Jay McKenzie is going to be pitting this lap as well, of course. Willows is going a long way on this stint, so not sure. I suppose he'll need to get past Chung sooner rather than later if he wants any hope of getting 2nd place from this race. But so far, Frank Gamma doing a solid job. At the moment, of course, actually Jay McKenzie, who has made a stop within a shout of getting a good result today. We're looking at Willows, who's coming towards the final corner, and Is he going to make the move stick on Chung? This could be very close, but Chung has gone way out wide, and Willows, woo, does make the move, but then that could have gone horribly wrong. Fortunately, it didn't there, and contact was averted. And so, see how close that was between the two drivers there. But fortunately, no damage done. Meanwhile, Mackenzie in for his second stop of the race, and this, we'll see how much fuel they put in. So I think he's doing the 3-stop as well. So he comes in, changes all 4 tyres, 6.3 seconds the pit stop, and that's fairly quick. So out of the pits he comes, and where's he going to come out position wise? I think he might come out on the outskirts or just inside the top 10, I think. Going to come out, yep, it looks like in 9th position ahead of Lincoln Parner. Meanwhile, this is the McLaren of, I believe, Paolino Tomaselli, I think, coming towards the first corner, and Gomez about to be overtaken for 10th position, as the McLaren is on the inside for turn 1, and Tomaselli is through up the inside, and now moves up to 10th. Meanwhile, we're looking at Kart Moment, who's in 6th, having passed, finally caught up and passed Roland Moitian for 6th position. This is coming around the final corner. There was no damage done, but Kart has had the better run off the corner. Just got the slipstream, and as you can see, overtook Moitian in towards the first corner. And so pretty easy move by Kart in the Mercedes engine, of course. Well, although I say Mercedes engine, Racing Point, of course, have the Mercedes engine too, but Mercedes have the original OG Mercedes engine. Meanwhile, Lincoln Parner come out of the pits down in 17th position at this moment in time. Lopez at the moment chilling up front yet again, 14 seconds ahead of Gamba, 21 seconds ahead of Willows, and Chung, I think, was about a pit stop behind because of her pace on the current set of tyres. Meanwhile, this is a battle for 7th position. This is between Moitian, Catalan, and Mackenzie. So 3 different countries in Europe battling for this position, although Catalan got a little bit out of shape and went wide there. That could allow Mackenzie to possibly have a move on Catalan, although Catalan staying in the slipstream of Moitian, who didn't get a good run through that corner. Meanwhile, Mackenzie trying to get through on the inside of Catalan. Meanwhile, Catalan going to launch it down the inside of Moitian, and no contact there, but they're still battling. So Catalan going to try and make a move into the first corner. Mackenzie is there, and he might push his way through past Catalan, but he doesn't quite do it. So Catalan stays ahead, and now Catalan will try and make a move on the inside of Moitian into the first corner. He's alongside Moitian, and surely this is the move done. And the answer is yes, it is. So he's now up into 7th. Meanwhile, Mackenzie now sneaks through up into 8th past Moitian. So he's now finally through up another position. Moitian losing 2 positions there. There's a car coming into the pits. I believe that was Laura Chung, I think. I'm not sure, but we'll find out shortly. No, actually, no, I was wrong. It was Franco Gambo who's coming to the pits this lap. He's obviously going to be on the 3-stopper. So at this moment in time, it doesn't really look like there's going to be anyone close enough to even threaten Franco Lopez out front. He is having it all his own way, and so far it's the 2 Francos that are taking full advantage of their fast cars. As we look at Franco Gambo now coming in to the pits and about to go into his pit box, and so he turns into the right, and in he is in the box, all 4 tyres, fuel in, and of course we're doing one more stop before the end. So I mean, he could have tried maybe to go to the end from there, but it would have been probably a tough ask to be honest, but hey ho. So Gamma now comes out of the pits. He's going to be down to P4, actually P5 I think, because Videri's gone across the line. So he's going to be out in P5, and Amakar is just so far behind, and he's still got another pit stop yet to do. So for Carr, he's legitimately behind it all. And the battle between Mackenzie and Catalan there going on, and Mackenzie now through past Catalan down the front straight, but Catalan might, if he stays behind in the slipstream, might swap to the right and make the move straight back, and I think he is. Catalan back on the inside of Jamie Mackenzie heading towards the first corner, and Catalan is going to get the position back and moves back up into 7th position. Mackenzie tries to hold it but unable to do so, but now he'll be under pressure I think from Roland Moitian, who is fairly close behind. But good battles here during this race as we look once again at Franco Lopez, who is just so far clear of everyone else. I know I've said that about several times, but I mean, what else can you say really? It's just a nice Sunday drive for him at this moment in time, as he's now hit the 30 lap mark. Meanwhile, this is George Rope trying to get past Jared Fosbury in the Haas. He's on the inside, and I think he's through. And yep, he's up into 14th position. Past the British driver. Of course, well, the two Brits pass each other. Possibly, of course, don't forget, has that 25-second time penalty, so that is going to affect him at the end of the race. Now, Roke try and go after his teammate, Chris Chatfield. Meanwhile, we're looking at Tomasetti battling with Moichin, although I think Moichin is pitting this lap. So I wonder actually if... Yeah, Moichin I think might be on the 3-stop, so I wonder if he'll go to the end or not. I'm not sure he will, but it could be close. We'll see if he does. I'd probably personally try and go to the end, but we'll see what happens. But Mackenzie now right behind the Toro Rosso of Matteo Catalan. Once again, this battle has been going on for the last lap and a half. And now Mackenzie trying to get back past Catalan, who's really not letting it go by. And Mackenzie locks up, goes wide, loses an absolute ton of time. Meanwhile, Moichin is going to be pitting this lap, so he won't get involved in this battle. But unfortunately, De Rosso's just a little bit too far behind to get the slipstream. But we're seeing, once again, Mackenzie trying desperately to get through past the Italian. And unfortunately just makes a mess of the corner, gets onto the curb, and it unsettles him, goes wide, and so he loses a lot of time there just before he goes into the pits. So I'm not sure if he was going to the end or not. I'd be interested to see actually for Moichin, who is in the pits this lap, if he's going to the end or not. Chatfield actually, as I said, hadn't pitted yet, so can't see obviously how much fuel he put in his. Matteo Catalan locks up there, coming in towards turn 4, but keeps it on the road. Of course, now it'll be free of Mackenzie, so at least he doesn't have, well, he really has Mackenzie to deal with at this moment in time, but of course Mackenzie already gaining back on him as Catalan had that lock up, so the battle is going to be resuming in about a lap's time, or maybe even less than that, because you can see Mackenzie already gaining, and of course now a McLaren behind it as well. Not what he would have wanted, but Lopez, who at the moment is in lead, comes out ahead of Moichin. Meanwhile, Roke all over the back of the Haas here of Chris Chatfield. And they need to make contact, but I think Chapman goes a bit wide. And Roke, is he through? I think Roke has got the line, is he? No. Chatfield holds on to the position there, but as they come through onto the support pit straight, Chatfield clearly struggling on the side. He's the only one, I think one of the only one that's still going around on this set of tyres. I don't know if I don't know if Chung actually is still pitted yet. I don't believe she has, so maybe not. But it's Chatfield and Chung both really struggling at this moment in time as we look at Rook all over the back of the Haas driver as they come through onto the back straight, heading towards the final corner, turn 14 and turn 15, although I'm just going to call it turn 14. Roke trying to make a move on the inside, and Chatfield defends, although, and Chatfield had a huge lock up there, and that allowed Roke to get through there. Very interesting indeed, but Chatfield really just all over the place on those tyres, got no grip on them whatsoever. I'm surprised he isn't running on rims. It would be that slow, but this was Mackenzie once again on the back of Catalan, who's obviously struggling on these tyres, and Mackenzie going to make yet another move on the inside of the Italian, coming towards turn 1 in the slipstream, just almost zooming past the Toro Rosso driver, and yep, goes up into 7th position. Done, but David Kupop, meanwhile, Catalan's teammate, in the pits for his last stop of the race. Meanwhile, this is, I was about to say battle for the lead, but of course this is Lopez, who's under pressure from Renault Moichin behind, who himself is trying to unlap himself, and just pitted. Meanwhile, Franco Gamma trying to go past Federi on the inside, and he's now up into P4. Now, he will go after Laura Chung, who I'm pretty sure has got to be pitting sooner or later. And speak of the devil, here she is, finally in for her one and only stop of this race. She has suffered. Now she can finally get rid of these godforsaken tyres and put a fresh batch on and go to the end. Now she can really go at it, so now we can see what her true pace is. She could still get a podium out of this race. I think that would be the least she would deserve. So, as we see Chung about to come out of the pits, and yep, out he comes. So out she comes out of the pits, and looks like she'll be coming out in P5. And meanwhile, we're looking at Armand Carr, at the moment running in P6, had a pretty ordinary race, really. That's all we can say about it, to be honest. And I think there is Chung just coming out of the pits now, so Chung fortunately does get out ahead of Carr, and that is important because Chung would not want someone else holding her up. But meanwhile, we're looking at Byrne and Campana here, and the two Hasses were getting close to each other as well. Lots of battles brewing in this part of the midfield. Meanwhile, Mackenzie has actually got past Armand Carr for 6th position, it seems, so unfortunately Carr having a pretty dreadful race, to say the least. That's all we can say, really. It's just not a good race for him. So this is Mackenzie making a very easy move coming into the final corner. Carr himself has one more stop left to go of this race. So, but at this moment in time, he's got no pace, really, so it's not really going to have much of an impact on him. Meanwhile, we're looking at Campana, who is trying to pass Evan Byrne, but is not being let past, although now he does sneak past, but goes wide, and now Byrne gets a position straight back. So, yeah, unfortunately for Campana, didn't really work out as well as he would have wanted to there. Meanwhile, Jared Fosbury, on the back of his teammate Chris Chatfield, as they head towards the first corner. Will Fosbury make a move on the inside? The answer is no. I think Chatfield, who is finally going to pit, I'm pretty sure he's the only driver this race who's yet to pit, and he has really, really struggled on those tyres, and actually Fosbury, not too far away from pitting either. Maybe pitting in, I think, about 2 laps' time, probably 3. But finally Chatfield comes in for a fresh set of tyres. And now this is the battle between Byrne and Fosbury. And Campana, sorry. And so Campana on the inside. Can he make it stick? The answer is no. And of course now they've got Franco Lopez in the Mercedes, who is about to lap them. So they will need to get themselves out of the way ASAP. The blue flags are out, so they will need to let them through, although Campana really wants to get past Byrne, but he's not going to be able to make it stick here. So, as we look at them coming towards the S's section, Titkoff obviously now passing Chatfield, who at this moment in time is in last position, having obviously had a problem. And oh no, Jay McKenzie! Oh no, Jay McKenzie has a transmission failure, and his race is over, and it's just shame for him, because he was having a fairly solid race, and he was set to get some good points out of it, but he is going to get absolutely nothing, and he is out of this race, and no points for Jay McKenzie today, which is a shame. He deserved some, having performed very well this race, made a lot of good overtakes, had that good battle with Matteo Catalan, and I mean, you could say Catalan has won this battle, although not in a necessarily fair way, but hey ho. So we look at McKenzie. He was running in 6th, and he obviously had one more stop. He was running in a fairly solid 6th position ahead of Carr. He'd obviously just passed Carr on the circuit and was doing pretty well, but unfortunately for him, his race is over. Carr broke down on him at very reliable, or in this case, very unreliable Renault engine lets him down. So, yep, he is out. Another retirement from this race. I think we've had a few retirements so far. Matteo Catalan, meanwhile, is in the pits for his final stop of the race. And a pit call for, I believe that was the driver in 2nd place. I think it was Franco Gamba, I'm pretty sure. And no, actually, sorry, it is, I think it was Federi that's having the pit call. Meanwhile, we're looking at Roland Moitin, who's trying to make a move on the inside in first corner, but of course Lopez is still there trying to get through this traffic, but of course it doesn't matter because he's going to be pitting soon anyway. But of course, he's got a huge gap out front, so it doesn't really matter to him what is going on. So, as we look at him coming through turn 4, he's right behind the Williams now, and of course Moitin's been stuck behind Lopez because of course, yeah, like he's been on fresher tyres, but he can't get through because then Lopez will lap himself. Meanwhile, this is Chatfield, who's being lapped by Joseph Williams. Meanwhile, Franco Gamba trying to get through as well, and this is a key battle actually for the podium places. Meanwhile, Chatfield is going to try and unlap himself, and he does. That will put Williams at a big disadvantage here, so Gamba might try and make a move on the inside. This is the battle for 2nd position on the circuit. Will Gamba make a move on the inside? And the answer is no, because Chatfield now might be unlapping. Because meanwhile, Gamba now finally getting through, but he's being stuck because Chatfield's trying to let him I don't know what's going on. And Gamba now finally unlaps him, finally gets past Chatfield, who was attempting to unlap himself, but unfortunately he's lost out to Willers there, who's kept the position. But that was just absolute chaos there because Chatfield didn't know what he was doing. He let Willows through, but well, he was trying to let him through, and then for some reason just got the position back after the exit of the 2nd corner. So got back through there, and that was Franco Gamba's chance to try and get a position back on him there, but Gamba couldn't quite make the move stick. And then Chatfield once again, who's still in the line of sight of the two behind, and then just slowed down, just being really awkward. Being really awkward. And Gamba was about to get through, but then Chatfield put paid to that. So Gamba had to stay behind, finally lapped himself past Chatfield. But of course now he'll go once again after Willows in front to try and get the 2nd position away from him. So as we look at this battle once again, so Gamba all over the back of Willows. I don't know how much more fuel Willows has got than Gamba, but I think he's got less. Meanwhile, Roland Moitin on the inside of Lin Campana, coming into the final corner, and he does make a stick. Meanwhile, Campana is going to get mugged, and he's been passed by about 3 cars, all the exit of that corner. So, meanwhile, David Cupok now trying to make a move on the inside. Fosbury's in the pits for his last stop of the race, and Cupok now on the inside of the racing point, and can't quite make a stick. Meanwhile, Campana now passes Matteo Catalan, gets the position back, but Campana lost out badly there through that corner. But good battles throughout the pack. Meanwhile, Franco Lopez is going to be pitting this lap, and yeah, we've forgotten about him, of course, because he's just so far clear. Meanwhile, oh, and Lean Campana has got a problem. Lean Campana has got a mechanical issue, so any slim chance he had of points from this race are officially gone. And well, yep, everything has gone now because the engine has blown, smoke pouring out of it. Lean Campana's race is over on lap 39 with just 17 laps to go. Meanwhile, Frank Gamba has passed Joseph Williams for second place. That is a key overtake, and I think he must have done it in towards the first corner there. So this was the onboard, and Gamba clearly the quicker car here on the inside of Williams into the first corner. So Gamba might try and get P2 here. This is a key battle course because Frank Gamba, who won the first race, Franco Lopez was second, and now the opposite is seemingly going to happen. So Willows being overtaken, and then did Chris Chatfield try and lap himself again? I thought he was going to, but Willows has a slight lock up there as we're looking on board from Chris Chatfield's point of view as they came through. Chatfield once again trying to lap himself past Willows, but then Willows makes a little mistake, locks up, and slows down quite a bit, holding Chatfield up. But Chatfield, I think, is going to be way off the back of the field. Although as long as he's within 25 seconds of Fosbury, then he'll be ahead of him. But meanwhile, that was Campana's car retiring from this race, and Franco Lopez is now in for his final stop of the Grand Prix. He's got a 29-second gap over Franco Gamba, so he's, I think, going to come out just about ahead. Meanwhile, Cupok battling with Moishin for 11th position in towards the first corner, and the problem for Campana was a water leak. So Cupok trying to make a move on the inside, unable to do so. Meanwhile, Franco Lopez now in the pits for his final stop of the race. He comes out, and it looks to be a pretty comfortable victory for Franco Lopez. And you can see Franco Gamba just coming through the final corner now onto the straight, but I think Lopez will just about get in front of Gamba. This could be actually quite close. But I think Lopez is going to come out in front, and the answer is yes, he is. So there we go. Lopez comes out in the lead, maintaining his superiority on the race. Franco Gamba, unfortunately, could see Lopez in the distance, but of course he has to pit, so he's not going to be able to have a battle with him today. But so far, Joseph Willows losing out to Gamba, and of course he's going to lose out even more because Chatfield won't leave him alone, because he's quicker than Willows, who I think is obviously going to be pitting once more before the end. Meanwhile, Byrne is also going to be pitting once more before the end too. He's going to be pitting this lap, as a matter of fact. So, as we look at Renamoichin, who's got David Cupok behind him. Meanwhile, Fosbury battling with Titkoff for P14. So, here's Cupok once again behind Renamoichin, heading towards the back straight. Moichin goes a little bit wide there. This is Cupok's best chance, coming in towards the final corner. And meanwhile, Matteo Catalan trying to make a move on his teammate, and so that paid dividends to Cupok chance passing Moichin in front of him. But he's going to try on once again, coming onto the front straight. Meanwhile, Byrne goes into the pits in front, so they all move up another position. But Cupok might try and move up 2 positions if he can pass Moichin into the first corner, side by side between the Toro Rosso and the Racing Point. And he is through up into 10th position. Matteo Catalan trying to make it past Moichin as well, of course. They're going to the end. Roque in front is not going to the end. He's pitting once more, so we'll see what comes of Roque's stop. So he's in the points, but he's yet to pit. So meanwhile, Lopez now going through. Gamba not too far away, but obviously he's going to have to pit, and Willow's going to pit soon as well. It'll be interesting to see who comes out on top of the P2 battle. Meanwhile, Carr on his own at the moment in P5. Federi actually is not too far behind him, so I wonder if Federi is closing up to the back of Carr. This would be fascinating if it is, but of course Carr, I just realised, is still has got to pit. Meanwhile, Federi doesn't, so Federi might even pass Carr on the circuit before he has his last stop here. So that would be that would be even more humiliation for the Mercedes driver if that happens. So as we look at Franco Lopez trying to get through some traffic, Neil Gamba trying the same as well. Willow's about 4 seconds behind Gamba ever since he got past, but yeah, it looks like Gamba is coming out top of that battle for P2, and it's going to be a Franco 1-2 yet again. Meanwhile, Byrne trying to get past Titkoff for 14th, and on the inside, coming down the sport pitch. And the left-hander, and Tikoff is wide, and Byrne is through. So, very well done there to Byrne making the move. Meanwhile, Chatfield now on the back of him, having actually passed Willers, and now he's obviously unlapped himself, but obviously Chatfield will want to get past Tikoff if he doesn't want to have to worry about Willers behind him again. But as they come towards the final corner, Chatfield trying to get on the inside there of the manor, but failing to do so. And so as they go through the final corner, although he's gone a little bit wide, has Tikoff, so now Chatfield will make the move stick, and he's now past the manor of Tikoff, heading towards the start-finish straight, but he's obviously heading towards turn 1, but at this moment in time. And oh yep, now there goes Willows, and now of course now Willows will lap Chatfield once again, so of course, or will he? No. Will Chatfield get away is the big question, or will Willows lap him? And Chatfield gets a good run off the corner, so I think he might just about have enough ahead to stay ahead of Willows. So meanwhile, we're looking at Roland Moichin, who's coming in towards the support pit straight. He is just a little bit behind Matteo Catalan, who at the moment is in 11th. So it's going to be a tight battle for the points. Meanwhile, Federi, I think, has passed Carr for 5th position. So, oh no, Federi is still in 6th. Although no, it's swapping between the two. I would love to see if we could go to that battle. So it looks like Federi trying to get past Carr before his final stop to secure the position. But as we look at Franco Lopez, which is obviously clearly more important than a battle, out front, and he's running a P1. Now here we are. This is Federi trying once again to get past Carr. There's contact, and fortunately no damage. I don't know how, but Federi does make it through up into P5, past Armar Carr, who of course still has one more stop left to go in this race. But for Armar Carr to be passed by the Alpha really just sums up how his race has been. But yeah, so great. It's been a fantastic race by Andrea Federi. That's no doubt about it. Meanwhile, Franco Gamma unlapped by Evan Byrne, but he's pitting anyway, so that doesn't matter. So you could let him through. But meanwhile, Chatfield getting out of shape coming through the final corner there. But Franco Gamma now comes into the pits for his final stop of the race. It looks like at the moment he's going to keep P2, but you never know. He could get held up in traffic and have the same situation as Willows, as in having a slower car. Well, try and unlap themselves, constantly unlap themselves. But Gamba comes in, we'll go to the end, of course, and it looks like P2 will be his unless something bad happens. A 5.4 second stop for Red Bull. That's pretty quick. Federi at the moment just about to come around the final corner, so of course he's no threat to Franco Gamma. Although Franco Gamma, of course, has had to pass him on track. So as Federi coming towards the straights. Meanwhile, of course, Willows past Chatfield, who now lap themselves again. Gamma comes out in P4, comes actually behind Laura Chung. So actually, he will have to overtake Chung on track actually. So that could so Chung could still have an impact actually on who gets what position on the podium. So I wonder how. I don't think it will take Gamma that long to pass him. What was the gap? It's only about Chung just ahead. Can't see it, so actually, I don't know. But Chung is a little bit ahead, but I think Gamma will close up pretty soon. But I'll have to hope that and Carr getting way out of shape there. He is all over the race. He's really had a torrid time in that Mercedes. And yeah, so Roland Moichin meanwhile is coming to the pits for his final stop of the race as well. So as we look at him coming towards the support pits at the moment, he's running in P6 for Federi. Course is ahead of him, but of course Carr has one more stop left to go in this race, so it's been, as I said, a pretty torrid race for him. Meanwhile, Willows at the moment in time running in second, but he is going to pit once more for the end. Once again, Chatfield, who will not leave him alone at all. And meanwhile, the Force India there, I think of Moichin just coming out of the pits behind, but Willows will be pitting this lap anyway, so you'll have to hope that Chung does him a favour and holds up Gamba to allow him to have the chance to gain on him as well. But I think there was a Sauber, an Alfa Romeo, I should say, that I think was about to come to the pits. I'm pretty sure it was Gabriel Gomez. Meanwhile, Matteo Catalan trying to get past his teammate Kupok. This is for P9 on the track. And Tomasetti is not too far away either. In P11, lots of cars coming into the pits on this lap. Cars coming in. Gomez is coming in as well, so these cars don't have to worry about Gomez either. But meanwhile, Matteo Catalan trying to get past his teammate Kupok. This is for 9th as they're coming towards the final corner, and Kupok goes a bit wide. I think this is Catalan's chance to get through, and he is through up into 9th position. So he's now got 2 points, whereas Kupok has got 1, but Kupok might try and get the position back coming towards the first corner. As he's on the inside, is he going to make the move stick? And the answer is Q-Pop. Can he get it back? The answer is yes, but now, of course, Tomaselli is there. So Catalan has got to be careful that Tomaselli doesn't try and get through, and he doesn't. Just about. It was close, though. But the gap, actually, what's the gap between Chung and Gamba? It is 10 seconds. So it's actually a lot more than I thought it was, actually. So Chung's done a decent job on this set of tyres, of course. But I think Gamba will get her before the end. But the question is, can Willows stop Franco Gamba from getting P2 is the big question. Meanwhile, Tomaselli on the back of Matteo Catalan in the Toro Rosso. And meanwhile, I think that was Moitin going past Chatfield into the first corner. Meanwhile, Willows is now in. Gamba coming obviously across the line. So Willows, that was a very quick stop, only 4.9 seconds. So, of course, Gamba now overtakes Willows. But the question is, can Chung do Willows a favour and hold them up enough? Meanwhile, of course, Federi is actually not too far away from Willows in front of him, but of course he's going to have no threats. He just needs to get to the end. Meanwhile, Omakar now finally does come in to his final stop of the race, and this, as I said, will remind you, this is his last stop. Roku is going to move up to 6th, but he will have to pit once more before the end. But this is a great battle. This is for the points. Catalan trying to get past his teammate Q-Pop, and Tomaselli in it as well as they head towards the final corner. And Catalan trying once again to get on the inside of Q-Pop. Oh, contact! And Q-Pop's wide. Catalan has spun. Tomaselli is through past both. Is he? No, not quite. Q-Pop just about holds it, despite going wide. And Tomaselli is surely going to try and make the move into the first corner. He's going to get in the slipstream of the German in a foreign car. And so, surely Tomaselli is going to make the move into the first corner. Q-Pop's going to really defend. And is there going to be more contact? No, not quite. But the battle once again is still going on. Meanwhile, George Roque is now pitting for his final stop of the race. He was running in 7th and 8th. He will drop down the order. But meanwhile, Tomaselli trying to get through on the inside of Q-Pop, coming in towards the first corner, and he is through up into P7. So now the two Toro Rossos once again battling with each other. Looks like Catalan all over the back of his teammate Q-Pop. They need to hopefully avoid contact. Meanwhile, Gabriel Gomez is not too far away either to making an impact here in this battle. So Catalan clearly the quicker of the guys, but meanwhile Gabriel Gomez is of course in this battle now as Q-Pop once again holding up his teammate Catalan, but Catalan now on the inside. Gomez is just about there as well, waiting to see these two slip up. But Catalan on the inside of Q-Pop in the first corner and up into P8. Meanwhile, Gomez trying to get past Q-Pop as well. But of course, Lopez is about to lap these guys. So, oh my goodness me. And wow, Lopez went into the back of Gabriel Gomez and somehow didn't get any damage. And whew, Lopez is a lucky man. We've seen drivers get damaged on their wings from lesser contact than that. So Lopez is a very lucky man that that didn't happen to him there. But meanwhile, Gomez now trying to get on the inside of Q-Pop into the final corner. Still can't make it through. Or no, he has. Now he's got the best run and finally does take 9th position. But meanwhile, George Roque, who's just pitted actually as well, he is going to be very good. We've got a yellow flag on the circuit, and it's Fosbury who's around, coming in towards the final corner. And Evan Byrne in contact with someone yet again, and let's see what happened here. So Byrne on the inside, and he tried to steer and get past Fosbury. Unfortunately, you could see that was going to happen, really. I suppose that was probably a racing incident. Meanwhile, Q-Pop now battling once again with Gomez. This is the battle for what is P9. But meanwhile, George Roque is here, and he's on the freshest tyres out of everyone here. So George Roque is definitely going to be one of the quickest drivers. He's now going to try and get past Gomez for P10 to get points out of this race. And Roque, from where he was, from getting hit by Byrne to get it to being in the battle from points, has been a great recovery by him. And he just needs to bide his time, Roque, because he's going to be by far the quickest car out of everyone here. So he doesn't need to do anything particularly stupid. Meanwhile, this is Gamba, who's now on the inside of Chung and has passed her for 2nd position. So it was only a matter of time. Now the big question is, can Willows close up on Chung for 3rd position? I was wondering how long it was going to take for Gamba to close Chung down, and it didn't actually take too long. I figured he would close up to the back of her, but you can see Chung was getting a bad exit out of the final corner, though, on worn tyres compared to Franco Gamba's much fresher tyres, and so Gamba made it through pretty easy there for P2. Although Chung did try and battle back the best she could, you can see her just stretching back in front there, but Gamba had the inside line, broke later, and made the move stick for P2. So I wonder if Willows will close to the back as this battle once again going on for P9 between Q-Pop and Gomez. But of course Roque is there as well. But meanwhile Gomez Gets a little bit out of shape, goes a little bit wide there. That will allow Roke behind to possibly make a move, although Cupoc's gone wide as well. This could get very messy if they're not careful. Roke right behind Gomez. Gomez right behind Cupoc in this battle for P9. And Gomez on the inside of Cupoc into the final corner, and he's through. Now will Roke try and make the move on Cupoc in towards turn 1. He's going to get in the slipstream of the German, so he's surely going to make the move into the first corner. Just needs to move a little bit to the left, and he'll do it, although seemingly not getting in the slipstream for some reason. Although Cupoc really defending into the first corner, taking a very unusual line. But now Roke trying to get through on the inside, now coming on to the start-finish straight. This is the battle for P10. Roke will be very happy to get some points out of this race, considering the fact that, of course, he'd been hit earlier on and had lost his rear wing and didn't seem like he was going to get anything. But Roke has raced very well, and so he's set to take 10th, is he? And yes, he's now back up into the points. And Gomez is about 4 seconds ahead of him, but I think Roke can easily catch him. Byrne actually is not too far away, so I wonder if Byrne could possibly overtake Cupoc for 11th. Unfortunately, been outdone really by his teammate. But meanwhile, Willows has passed Laura Chung for 3rd position, and I wonder if that was probably Team Orders, although, to be fair, Chung's tyres were pretty worn at this point. But I mean, you have to give credit to Chung. She's not done too badly on a one-stop. She's almost managed to get a podium, but just not quite. Almost contact there as the two pass each other coming through the final corner there. Fortunately, no damage done. So, yeah, there we go. Moment Gamma in 2nd place. I don't think Willows... Well, the gap's only 5 seconds, so it is possible. But, of course, Willows has got to lap the Haas, one of his favourite cars to lap. And meanwhile, Cupoc makes a mistake there, gets a little bit out of shape. Fortunately, no damage done, although that will allow Evan Byrne behind to close up and possibly make an overtake. Meanwhile, as we look, there's only 5 laps left of this race, and of course Franco Lopez so far is the guy who is going to win. And meanwhile, this is Red Motion trying to make a move on the inside of Fosbury. He'd be past him anyway because of Fosbury's penalty, but nonetheless, on track, Motion is going to pass Fosbury, which he does. That is for P13. Meanwhile, I think Cupoc was overtaken by Byrne for 11th, I think I just saw. So, meanwhile, we're looking now at, this is the battle for P8 on the circuit. So, Gomez right behind Catalan, and Roke, you see there, is just watching this. Meanwhile, Gomez trying to make a move on the inside. Can he make a stick? The answer is, I think, yes, no. He's about side by side, and no, I think he's gone off. He's gone wide as Catalan. He loses position, and he loses both. Roke is through up into 9th position, and Gomez up into 8th there. Gomez was really trying to make the move on the inside, and obviously Catalan went wide and managed to get it back on the track, but just stayed on the curb, went on the marbles, and Roke managed to get through. And now Roke is all over the back of Gabriel Gomez. This is for 8th position as they come through towards the first corner down the front straight. I think this is going to be an easy overtake for Roke, and side by side between him and the Brazilian of Gomez in the first corner, and Roke is through up into P8. A great recovery by George Roke, you have to say. I think the gap to Thomas is about 13 seconds, but I don't think he's going to be able to gain that in 2 laps. But meanwhile, we are now looking at your leader on the last lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix. This is Franco Lopez, and you have to say, no one has deserved this race victory more than him. Totally and utterly dominated this race ever since he took it from Laura Chung at the start. Got an unbelievable launch off the line and has never looked back from there. It never looked like being anyone but his race win today. So, I mean, that's what we can say about it. Just a totally and utterly dominant performance from Franco Lopez. And of course, it will mean that he will take the championship lead from his fellow Franco Gamba. And I think we're interested to see actually who has the fastest lap as well. Because if he does, I think he will have it will extend his points even more if he does get the fastest lap. We'll find out at the end. But meanwhile, Franco Lopez about to come through the final corner, turns 14 and 15, and take a very comfortable race win. Of course, he won last year for Mercedes, and he's set to win again. Franco Lopez coming around the final corner for the 57th and the final time. And Franco Lopez is going to win the Bahrain Grand Prix under the lights, and he comes across the line, and the win is his. Congratulations to him, and a great performance indeed. George Roke comes across line 8th. He'll be very, very happy with that. Gomez across line in 9th. Mateo Catalan, he got a point, but he'll be disappointed he didn't get more. Evan Byrne will get 11th, although I think he had a penalty, didn't he? So actually, I think he'll drop behind Cupoc, actually. So Cupoc will be 11th. Byrne will be 12th. Roda Moiti will come across the line in P13. Just not his day, unfortunately, as he comes across the line. Fosbury in 14th, but I'm interested to see if he drops down any more places or not. Gamba does come across the line ahead of Willows. It was actually pretty close in the end. Probably another couple of laps or so, and Willows probably would have had him. But Laura Chung, pole sitter, unfortunately doesn't get a podium, but she does get P4, but I guess that's probably about as best as she was going to get it, really, on that strategy. Chris Chatfield comes across the line in 15th. Just, again, not really a great day for Haas, unfortunately. But as we look now at Maxime Titkov, about to come across the line for Manor, Andrea Federi, of course. What an unbelievable performance by him. 5th position and thoroughly deserved an armour car. Well, yeah, deserved 6th position there. He just didn't deserve a good result out of this race. Just didn't perform very well at all. So he finishes behind the Alpha Federi. Meanwhile, Paulino Tomaselli also a good result from him as well. He's set to take 7th position. He now comes across the line. And that is the race over. So now we'll take a look at, of course, the final results, driver standings, and, of course, the constructor standings after Bahrain. So, Franco Lopez taking the race win and does get the 1.4 fastest lap as well. Franco Gamba, 2nd position, Joseph Williams in 3rd, Laura Chong 4th, Andrea Federi 5th, Car in 6th, Tomaselli 7th, George Oak 8th, Gabriel Gomez 9th, and Matteo Catalan completing the points in 10th. David Kupok does move ahead of Evan Byrne. I think it was a 15-second time penalty, I think, for Byrne. So he drops down actually behind Renaud Moichin as well. So Moichin 12th, Byrne 13th, Chatfield 14th. He moves ahead of his teammate Jared Fosbury thanks to that penalty. And Maxime Titkov last in 16th with Lee Rapana, Jamie McKenzie, Nicolas Gao, Garota Badrossa, Rosetta Martinez, and Felix Sontag, the cars that did not finish this race. So now let's take a look at the driver standings and the constructor standings after Bahrain. And you can see Franco Gamba still leading, still actually leading, I should say. I thought Franco Lopez would take it, but by just 2 points. Lopez getting the fastest lap. Lopez head of Willows with 27 points. Nicolas Gao in 4th position after that retirement. Chung up to 5th, Carr in 6th, Moichin 7th, Andrea Federi all the way up to 8th, DeRossa in 9th, Gomez in 10th, Tomaselli in 11th, George moving up to 12th, David Kupok 13th, Tekalan 14th, with Felix Sontag, Evan Byrne, Chris Chetfield, Jared Fosbury, Jamie McKenzie, Maxime Titkov, Lean Campana, and Rosetta Martinez, the drivers who've yet to score 8 points this season. Of course, that is all set to change. Well, we hope so for the drivers coming through the season. We'll finally take a look at the constructor standings. After Bahrain, Red Bull is still leading, but it's only an 8-point gap to Mercedes in 2nd position. Meanwhile, Ferrari 12 points behind in 3rd, and a big gap to Alfa Romeo in 4th, Racing Point and McLaren tied on 14 points. Toro Rosso in 7th, Williams in 8th, Renault moving ahead of Haas as well with 20 points, and Manor in 11th. The driver of the day, the vote after the race was given to Andrea Federi. Not a surprise in the slightest that he got that. A fantastic performance by him, and let's hope he can keep it up for the rest of the season. So that was the Bahrain Grand Prix, entertaining as it always is. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you for the Chinese Grand Prix at Shanghai for round 3 of the season. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you then.